Hello students, today again we are going to revise with recursion. We have some more programs to be done in recursion like decimal to binary, and if you look carefully into the method which I have applied in decimal to binary, this method was there in the output of 2017, the recursive output, which was given a name Magic Fun. So this is actually a program of converting a decimal number to a binary. Whenever a decimal number, like suppose 5 is given to us, so we divide it by 2 and we get whatever remainders as 1, 0, 1 or whatever. They are arranged and then we get the output. So here decimal to binary means if you are dividing suppose we are dividing 13 by 2. Let's see. We get 6 as a quotient, but what will be the remainder? 1. And then if I divide 6 by 2 again, I get a quotient 3, but I get a remainder 0. Now if I divide 3 by 2, I get a quotient 1 and I get a remainder 1. This one quotient that I have got, if I divide 1 by 2, 1 doesn't come in the table of 2, 0 will be left as a quotient, but the remainder will be 1. This type of remainder will be written in a reverse order. That means from bottom to top. At the bottom we have got 1, 1, 0, 1. This is actually the binary of 13. Same thing we have to apply in our program so that we get the same output 1, 1, 0, 1. So let's see, if suppose we are getting here 13. 13 is equal to 0 is a false condition. Presently the base case is not true, so it will come to the else part. And here convert is going to call itself and send n divided by 2, that is the quotient 6. Now you are seeing we are not calculating the remainders or anything like that, because if a function calls itself, everything else will be left out. Only the function will call itself and send the quotient 6. 6 is 0, no. Again convert is going to call itself and send 6 by 2, 3. 3 as a quotient. Then after that 3 is 0, no. It will again call convert by sending 3 by 2, that is 1 as a quotient. Now 1 is 0, no. 1 by 2 will send 0 as a quotient. That means in our stack memory, if we see, we are going to have at the bottom 13, when we call the function, we got 6 as a quotient. Then again 6 was calling the function itself and 3 as a quotient was being sent. Then 3 divided by 2 was giving you 1. This is the sequence of numbers that is being kept in the memory, stack memory. Now after the base case turns out to be true, because 1 divided by 2 is going to give you 0 as a quotient. 0 is equal to 0 is a true condition, so return 0 will be returned not in main but on this part itself. Now the base case has turned out to be true. That means now the function is not going to be called again and again. Now this 0 which is being received here, 0 into 10 is how much? 0. Plus, now this time n mod 2. What is n mod 2? Let's see. The number which is being kept at the top of the stack memory is 1. 1 modulus 2 naturally will give you 1 only. The number which is not being divided by any other number, that number itself becomes a remainder. So 0 plus 1 is going to give you 1 over here. Now after that, again n mod 2 is going to be executed, but before that we have now got in this part of the memory 1. This 1 into 10 will give you 10 plus n mod 2. N mod 2 is going to pick up the second number of the stack, and that is 3. 3 mod 2 will give you how much remainder? 1, which will become equal to 11. Right? Now after that, this part of the memory is now containing 11. 11 into 10 will give you how much? 110 plus n mod 2. n mod 2 will now pick up the third number of this stack memory, and that is 6. Now when it is going to pick up 6 from here, the 6 mod 2 is going to give you 0 because 6 is completely divisible. So 110 plus 0 will give you 110 is still in the memory. Right? After that, 110 is kept in this part of the memory into 10. 110 into 10 is going to give you how much? 1100 plus n mod 2. The last number of this stack is 13. So 13 mod 2 is going to give you a remainder 1, which will be 1101. This way it works. And now let's look into the main. In main, we have just taken a number from the user, and with system.out.println, we are going to call ob.convertn. So whenever you have to, this same logic we have applied on palindrome also, but that was n divided by 10 into 10 plus n modulus 10. Now the same logic has been applied on decimal to binary, except for the numbers are being divided by 2 and the modulus also by 2. So you have to be very much clear, because when it comes in the outputs, that what will be the output if 7 is given or if 10 is given. Two numbers were given in 2017 output question. The same function was there, and the answer for 7 was 111 and the answer for 10 was 1010. So be careful that when you are making a program of decimal to binary, this logic has to be applied. Same logic we are going to apply on decimal to octal. So let's see. This is decimal to octal. The only difference is I have kept here division by 8 and modulus 8. Let's see, if suppose there is a number 13 given over here, the octal number for 13 is 15. 15 should come out as the answer. So let's see. When 13 enters inside, 13 is equal to 0. No, it will come to the recursive case. Convert is going to call itself by dividing 13 by 8. 8 ones are 8. So 1 will be sent as a quotient over here. After that, 1 is equal to 0. No. Then again convert is going to call itself by sending 1 by 8. 1 doesn't come in the table of 8. So the quotient is 0. 0 is equal to 0 is a true condition. 0 is going to return here. So now again let's do the calculation. Since 0 has come over here, so 0 into 10 is how much? 0 only. Plus n mod 2. What was kept in the stack memory? Let's have a look. In the stack memory we had only two numbers. One was 13 and the other that we got as a quotient was 1. So 1 mod 8. 1 mod 8 is going to give you only 1, because 1 doesn't come in the table of 8. So 0 plus 1 is equal to 1. Okay, now let's see when again here we have got 1. This one, 1 into 10 is how much? 10 plus n mod 8. 13 mod 8 was giving you a remainder 5. So 10 plus 5 is how much? 15. This way the answer comes out to be the exact answer of 13 in octal number system is 15. Those of you who are not aware of octal, you should come to know that in octal numbers we have got 0 to 7. After 7 we directly have 10. 10 stands for 8. 11 for 9. 12 for 10. 13 for 11. Then 14 for 12 and 15 for 13. And so we are getting the right answer over here. Now let's look at how to apply recursion on strings. So let's have a look. Let's look at this program in which we have to enter a string and count total number of vowels in it, but recursively by using recursion. So first of all, let's look into main. Here we have used a scanner and our class name is str. So we have declared here strOb is equal to new str, and then we are taking string s from the user and we are calling the function ob.vowels and sending s as a parameter. Now in our class, string V has been declared having all lowercase and uppercase vowels in it. Int vowels is a function which will return us the total number of vowels. It is receiving string s over here as a parameter. We are checking if s dot length is 0, then finally the base case is going to be true and the function will stop recursion, but it will return 0 as a counter. Otherwise it will come to the else part. So let's look at, suppose we have got a string great. In great we have got how many vowels? 2, E and A. So taking great over here, if in return we are checking v dot index of. Index of means to check a given character inside v. V is having all the lowercase and uppercase vowels. So the given character will be checking itself in this string v, and if the vowel is found in it, it will not return -1, it will actually return some position of v. Suppose E, if we take in great, E will be found at 1 position. So if v dot index of is going to check s dot char at 0, that means first of all s dot char at 0 is going to take out g. G will check itself in the string v. Now g is not found in either of the vowels, so it will naturally return -1. This condition will turn out to be false. It will come to the colon part, that means the else part, and we are calling vowels again recursively and sending the entire string except for G starting from the first position. That means REAT will be received in our vowels function again. Now here again we are checking if the length of REAT is 0. No. Again from REAT, R is going to be extracted from the 0 position. R will check itself whether it is a vowel or not. So it is not a vowel, and so -1 will be returned, but our condition is saying it should not be -1. Again it will come to the else part, that is a colon part, and call vowels function and send it starting from the first position EAT. Now EAT, that means EAT will be received here. The length of EAT is not 0. So it will come again here from EAT, the 0 position character E will be extracted and E will be checking itself in V. Now since E is a vowel and it is found in the string V, it will not return -1. This condition is true. For the first time, the counter 1 will be kept in the memory. That means 1 will count, yes, this is the first vowel. And then vowels will call itself again recursively, sending from first position onwards. So from first position of eat, we have got 80. 80 will be received over here and the length is still not 0. So from 80, the 0 position character A will be extracted and it will check itself with V. Now since A is found in it, again it will not be equal to -1, and this is true condition. In the memory already we have got 1 as a counter, another 1 will be added up to it and 2 will be the answer there in the memory. Then vowels will call itself starting from the first position of at, and that was T. T will be received here. The length is not 0, but T is not found in this V. So it will return -1 and this condition is false. So it will come to the colon part and vowels will call itself by sending the first position from T, and that is nothing. Because after T there is no other character to be counted as first position character. So 0 will go inside here and the length is 0 completely. So base case now has turned out to be true and this 0 will be returned into the counters which are already there in the memory. So the counters were 2, 2 plus 0 is 2. Finally the answer will go over here in system.out.println and we'll get an answer 2. Let's see how it works. If suppose I give here a string great, I'm getting here 2 as an answer. Right? Now let's see another one. Suppose if we have to make a program in which we have to print a string after removing the vowels recursively. So after removing the vowels recursively means what we have to do. Let us see. str1.java, str1, class name str1. Here our condition will change a bit. I'll explain it to you, just a moment. See, the slightest difference I have made in my program is I have taken a string great again. So the string that I will be getting after removing the vowels is GRT. Now first of all, great is entering here. The length of great is not 0. So it is not going to, okay, we have to actually return the string. So we'll write here double quotes. And our return type will be not int but a string. Okay, now here the length of great is not 0, so it is coming to the else part, and here v dot index of is going to check whether the 0 position G is not present in the string of vowels. Yes, it is not present, so it is going to return -1, and this condition is true. So after question mark, if you look carefully, what I have kept in the memory is s dot char at 0, the character G. It is being placed in the stack memory. After that, I am calling vowels and sending s dot substring 1. So from 1 position onwards, REAT will be received again here. The length is not 0. Again, R will check itself. R is a 0 position character. So R will check itself in v dot index of, and naturally -1 will be returned because R doesn't occur in the string v. So s dot char at 0 already in the memory we have got what? G. Now s dot char at 0 presently is R. R will also be concatenated into G. So we are getting in the memory GR. Now vowels will call itself and sending s dot substring 1. So the first position of REAT was E. So from E to onwards, the new string will enter inside. Again, the length is not 0. E is going to check itself from the 0 position into v dot index of, again E, but E occurs in v. So it is not going to return -1, but it will return the position not equal to -1. So it will keep here s dot char at 0, that is, it will not keep here s dot char at 0 because the condition is false. So it will go to the else part and send E from A onwards, at. At will be received here. The length of at is not 0. Again it will come to the else part. V dot index of may s dot char at 0. A will be checked. Again it is not going to return -1. Again this condition is false. So it will come again to the else part and send T. Now the length of T is not 0. Here it will check T is returning -1. Yes, T doesn't occur in the vowels string. So it will return -1. And already in the memory we have GR, and now we'll be having T also. So GRT will be there. And then we will call vowels with s dot substring 1, but we do not have anything else apart from T. 0 string will be returned over here. Now the length is 0 and a blank string will be returned here. So the final answer that we are getting is GRT. Let's see how it runs. This is our answer, right? Now let's look at this program in which we have to convert all lowercase letters to uppercase and uppercase letters to lowercase. So we'll be receiving a string here. If the length is 0, then we'll return blank. And in return here we are checking with character APA class if the character at 0 position is uppercase. Then after question mark we are going to convert it to character dot to lowercase plus we are going to call vowels function again and send s dot substring 1. Otherwise, in else case, we are going to convert that character to lower to uppercase, and then we are going to convert it, plus we are going to call vowels s dot substring 1. That means here we have got two options. After question mark we are converting it to lower case, and then with plus sign we are calling vowels function. But if it is not so, if it is in lower case, we are going to convert it to upper case and send s dot caret 0, plus we are going to call vowels function again with s dot substring 1. Let's see the output, how it works. And let's see how it works. So here we are getting, if I have given here great, I am getting G, I kept in capital letters, less in the rest in lower case. G was in lower case and the rest in capital letters. So we have seen 3 programs on recursive functions on strings, right? So hope you people have understood it, and press the like button and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.